Hello, this is Sam Simon, also known as Dementia Man for my video blog, and I have a special guest this week. I want to welcome, as you can see by his name, Dr. Marc Rothman. Um, and you are what is the title, President, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer of Dementia Spring Foundation. You do some other things, but it is a foundation that I met or was introduced to and am a proud fellow of Dementia Spring or Dementia Spring Fellow, which meant it was 2023, I think,
Mhm,
that I
mhm.
received one of their grants to help as Dementia Man was in 2023. We were just entering the show. We were in the spring. We were in the DC Fringe Festival, which was our debut. So it was very helpful to me. And they do a number of things, but it's focused on arts in the area of dementia, uh,
Yes.
and cognitive areas. And I still think I'm the only one with Alzheimer's on stage in America right now. But anyway, so first of all, I want to be thankful and appreciative, and I hope every one of you who see this for their support, which came in at a really critical time and has helped me get this work to where it is now. And I think I'm going to be going to Seattle. Oh, yeah. I had mentioned this to you maybe. I think I'm going to go to be brought to Seattle to perform in Seattle pretty soon. Um, there's some
That's
folks
great.
up there doing some work, but uh, but at any rate, I'd love you to share a little bit of your story because what I love and what
Sure.
attracted me to you, and where is the use and the power of arts to change people and to tell stories. And I don't know why it's popping in my head because I don't know if it was part of your discussion. And to give dignity to
Mhm.
the process of
Yes.
cognitive decline in life. Um,
Yes.
and and so, Marc, welcome. Thank you for giving us some of your very busy time. I know, by the way, because our last guest has his exposed dementia meeting soon, and you're helping them very much. Um,
Yes.
so hello, Marc, and tell us a little bit about who you are, Dr. Marc, some call you, uh, and how Dementia Spring came about. Then we can move to sort of the future as well.
Happy to do it, Sam. And thanks for having me here on the podcast. It's really great to see you, and it's really just been an honor to get to know you and work with you. So, yes, you are definitely a well-known friend of Dementia Spring and the Dementia Spring Foundation. You've participated with us in public events online. You've received a grant. You performed at last year's festival
Yeah.
in New York City, and you brought the house down to thunderous applause. And you've been a tireless advocate for a different way of thinking about dementia writ large in society. And it was you who told me that the arts change hearts and minds. And I agree with you. As a physician, I've been working with people with cognitive impairment for well over 2 decades since my training, and we are gradually making strides in the Alzheimer's community, medications, therapeutics, diagnostics. It's happening slowly, but the truth is we need to change how the rest of society views this issue. The same way that we used to look at cancer as a word we couldn't even say out loud
Yes.
30 years ago over in polite company. Now people talk about their recent CAT scans and their CA125s and their PSAs all day long on the bus and the train and over dinner. Same thing with heart disease, same thing with HIV and AIDS. The truth is that people out in the community still think of Alzheimer's disease as a disease of wheelchairs and nursing homes. And that just does not represent the lived experience of this disease anymore. There are people with dementia on stage in the theater, like you, and you might be the only one, although we'll confirm it at some point. Um, there are
Maybe there'll be
people,
more. By the time you confirm it, I won't
by the
be.
time I confirm, sorry, there are people with cognitive impairment in the shopping mall and grocery stores with you. There are people with cognitive impairment on the roads driving home the same way they have for the last 30 or 40 years. And so to think about it only with respect to wheelchairs and nursing homes does a disservice to them and is just flat out wrong. And it doesn't help what's really needed, which is a different way of thinking about interacting with them, caring for them, and supporting them. And I've always said, while the progress is being made on the therapeutic front, it's great. The scientists and the doctors are not the one who are going to change hearts and minds. It's going to be the artists who do it. And that is how Dementia Spring and the foundation were born, because ultimately, to tell a new story, you need storytellers, and those are the artists. Aside from that, there's also great evidence that the arts, especially the visual and performing arts, are incredibly beneficial for people both living with cognitive impairment and also for their caregivers. Stress reduction, anxiety reduction, caregiver confidence goes up, less antipsychotic use, less behavioral disturbance. There's so many benefits of participating in the arts and the sciences. You just have to share with people you can do it. You don't need to be a great dancer, singer, painter, musician to participate in the arts. And the barrier to entry is really low, right? And it's there's no side effects, which is my favorite part about it, right? You know, people will dangle a million medications in front of you, all with side effects. Singing, dancing, painting, coloring, experiencing the arts is essentially almost free, and there's no side effects. And so I really think it needs advocacy. And so my wife, Cece, and I, when the pandemic hit, we saw recreation therapists and artists who were working with the dementia community immediately out of work. And we saw people with cognitive impairment stuck on screens, not able to engage. And we were like, there has to be a better way. And we founded the foundation to try to bring the artistic community and the dementia communities together. Um, that was essentially how it all started.
Yeah, and there's so much truth in what you've been saying, and um, it, you're trying to find a voice and words to get that out is a part of what I see. I have a personal story to tell, and I tell it through theater. And as people know, it's not my first rodeo. I had been through it with my wife, and that's in part how I came to say, well, now it's my turn. And it just to reinforce your statements. Um, I mean, I watched some of the other artists that were awardees then and even since. And the stories are moving. It's built on a daily, so much of it was, and I know when we were in New York, of the people that so much of theater and this work is based on improv. And
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name, who was a great improviser, or was it him and but we, whether you're the one with the disease or your spouse or caregiver, care partner, or cognitive navigators, I like to call them, um, have to learn how to say yes and
Yes.
live a life. Which, by the way, even for you so-called normal people, yes and way of living is good too. But
Yes.
so you're a relatively new foundation,
Yep.
third or fourth year, I guess you're into, or fifth. I don't.
Fifth year. Fifth year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know about new things. It takes a while to get there. Can you sort of give us a status and what's
Mhm.
going on right now, and where you see you're going, and then I'd love maybe to talk a little bit about how people can get involved, and
Mhm.
maybe before we leave, one thing, me excluded, that you're most proud of in your work and or has moved you the most. So why don't we start with sort of where it is now and what's your
Sure.
priorities and how people can sort of think about engaging. You might, I hadn't even thought about maybe you should start having little chapters because so many. I just want to just say it is so important to encourage people in this experiential part for them to find it. Can they tell the story? They can dance. A lot of that goes on inside um, senior living centers sometimes. And there
Yes.
is this movement, which you guys need to connect with. I forgot, I don't know why I didn't think about this before. See, real time, folks. This Montessori movement in senior living. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you've run into them or not. They, it's the same theory. But it focuses on looking at the person with a cognitive impairment as someone who can live in the memory unit and can live if they if we touch what they were good at when they were before they were, and that can
Yes.
certainly be through theater and arts. But go ahead. What's where are you now, and what's going on with Dementia Spring? How can people help?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to share. So we've had an amazing 5 years. The second year we gave out our first grant for the film Here and Now by Katie Matthews. That film's now been seen well over 40, 50,000 times on Vimeo. It won five laurels at film festivals in 2023 and 2024. So it's done incredibly well. We've had cohorts of grantees, new dementia arts fellows every year, three a year, including this past year, where we teamed up with C. Nathaniel Brown, who's doing the conference in Baltimore that both you and I will be at. He and I are actually taking Dementia Spring and Exposed Dementia are taking a road show on the road to really try to bring the artistic flavor to multiple cities this year. So we'll be in Atlanta, we'll be in St. Louis, we'll be in Los Angeles, we'll be in New York. We gave a grant to Juan Carlos Zaldivar, who's a professor of film up at the University of Buffalo. He has a traveling exhibit called The Gold Room, which is just a beautiful, beautiful photographic representation of people with dementia and their caregivers on gold paper. So it really tries to sort of honor the royalty and majesty of people, even if they're, at a tough point in their lives. And so he's creating the Gold Room as a roadshow around the country as he goes. So that's pretty exciting. We're funding that. And then Jared Mazzacci here in New York, who is an incredibly young, dynamic film, a theater playwright and performer who has a tremendous, tremendous play called 73 Seconds about his mother who actually worked at NASA and him discovering that she was at NASA later in life and then trying to glean some of those memories out of her as she was losing her memory. So really very interesting dynamics in the family. So those were last year's fellows. We're about to kick off in May this year's Dementia Arts Fellowship application process. So there'll be a call to artists in about 5 or 6 weeks. So
Sure.
people should check us out online, dementiaspring.org, or they can find us on social media. We're pretty active on social media. That's how we reach most of the artists because they're all on social media. And we put out an arts spotlight for creators and innovators who are trying to do this work around the world every week. So every single week, another Dementia Arts Spotlight appears on our website and on social. And it really is a great way for this community of creators who's never really been unified, right? Everyone's been very atomic to sort of come together in the Dementia Spring spotlight space. And so that's pretty amazing. So we'll probably do another 50, 55 spotlights this year, another three artist grants this year in our fellowship program. And we now have a network of over 350 artists who have participated with us at Dementia Spring, which is pretty incredible. For people who want to get involved, definitely sign up for our newsletter online. Check us out on social media. We obviously are always fundraising and trying to raise money for the fellowships, especially. So that's pretty meaningful for people. If they know that when they give funds to Dementia Spring, a lot of that's going straight to artists. So that means a lot to them. And keep an eye out for us in these cities as we tour around with the exposed dementia folks.
Yes, people forget, or maybe they just don't know. Life is so busy and there's so many things going on in the world today, but we won't go there. And um, I keep saying it, and you've heard it before, but I think it's worth repeating. We have the baby boomer generation and their kids impacted by this stage of history and life for so many people. We have the baby boomers have been the largest generation for
Mhm,
so long, and I'm going to be 80 this year. I can't believe it.
mhm,
Um, and then we have our children who we're very fortunate. Uh, there's some people focusing on that generation. I'm forgetting what they call those people, but it's the children of people with dementia are as affected in many ways as
mhm.
much, if not more.
Yes, yes.
Um, one of the big things I'm thinking about these days, but again, art's going to be part of the solution, I think, is the financial impact on the generations that this has. This is something we
Yes.
haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
And um, a lot of things are changing, even in support. And, I keynoted with my play the Association of Adult Daycare Centers.
Hmm, hmm.
There were adult daycare for quite a while, but there, because of the phenomena I'm talking about anyway, we're talking about, they're growing. They're going to be a much more important part over the next 3 to 5, maybe more years in our
Yes.
communities, um, because they're typically supported by the local governments,
Big grants. Yep. Yep.
affording care. Because there are also the senior centers that are blooming. Well, we were just at a senior center, a new one in our area,
Mhm.
in a towering building. And the feel inside was, well, I'm on a luxury liner and I'm in the top level cabins because it's so beautiful. And it only costs 600,000 to 4.4 million to get in and 11 to 15,000 a month to stay there.
Yeah.
Oy
Yeah.
vey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this way, so this work, Mark, I'm so glad that we've met and connected, and I look forward to, ongoing work. I do want to ask you if there's something, and I'm going to exclude myself, if there's something in your work,
Uh-huh.
because it's got to be, I mean, you've seen a lot of things that sort of touched you personally, or that you like to talk about as sort of a moment or a performance. I mean, it could be that film. I don't know that you might want to share with folks.
Well, I think, when I think of impact, I really go back to the Day by Day project, which is a project that we funded with a fellowship in Columbus, Ohio. That was a program for dancing and singing with older adults that brought college students into their world to try to combine generations. And through our work with them, a little bit of coaching and mentoring, some technical support that we offered them, they ended up getting a grant to bring that program to every senior living facility statewide in Ohio. Um, and that really just speaks to me that when you find the right people who understand that these interventions work, they're cheap, they're safe, and you can do them through the entire journey. Just because somebody can't speak anymore, that's a different part of the brain than the part that can sing and the part that can dance and the part that can enjoy theatrical moments. Those are different parts of the brain. So you can do this work, well into the disease. And so they got a grant to really bring that program to a much larger audience. And I'm really proud of that, right? I mean, that's making an impact at a larger level. You're part of the impact, with a little bit of assistance for you, helping to sort of get you broader audiences. You've now shown Dementia Man to well over 1,000, if not 2,000, 2,500 or more people across how many states? You tell me. So
More than I can count.
there's a there's a palpable thirst for this, and I feel like we're going to start really reaching into the communities where we need to be, including those other generations as you described. In my work during the day, I encounter all kinds of families who are dealing with this, and I help them with other solutions, and we are seeing it left and right. I've been in homes with people with memory loss who are 80, and the people taking care of them are family members in their late 20s or early 30s. So, your point about needing to bring the generations together is well heard, and the arts are a beautiful way to do that.
Yeah, I love the work and Susan, my wife, by the way, who I call my cognitive navigator,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think we should have cognitive navigator support, not only, and it could be a child, by the way, it could be that another generation I'm lucky enough to have. There, it's not well understood. The caregiver role in cognitive diseases can often be very challenging. I one day may become someone else. And so now my wife is not caring for the Sam she married. But I've come to understand it is also a gift. That sounds odd. But if you can be with and hold the person you love so that they feel loved, whatever their personality might be at the moment, is just an enormous gift. And for kids to be able to do that with a parent, um, what bigger gift is that? The big
yep,
challenge, which is my advocacy thing, is we've got one of mine is they can't cost the family
yeah,
their
yeah,
fortunes,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
need to work that out. But there's that. I really hope people are in touch with you. I don't want to overwhelm you, which would be good in some ways. Donate and support you too, because you
Thank you.
support us. And I don't know, I could say maybe there needs, you encourage people to create these programs in their communities. The one that you articulated, that's what, isn't that right? In communities, having these um, vehicles to promote this
Mhm.
vision of arts and theater and in this field, which isn't intuitive for some. The tragedy narrative needs to be
Yes.
um, I bad things happen to bad things, challenging times. In fact, just on that note, maybe a way to close out, but see how you react to it. Maybe you've heard me. I've been giving, for some reason, shout outs to my late friend, Lynn Fielder. I think I may have told you about Lynn. Lynn was a young woman. She died at 62 with Parkinson's.
Yes.
And she taught me that I'm not poor Sam, poor Sam, who's got this terrible disease. I
Yes.
am Sam with Alzheimer's, a singularity, and I will be the best of that the world has ever seen. And arts is a doorway into that feeling and invitation
Yes.
to us to
Yes.
give us a sense that we can do something and be something or be inspired by it. So I want to thank you, Marc, for what you're doing and what you've done, encouraging people to be a support, be in touch with you guys. Um, and see the art that because I think some of the stuff, which is video and other things, are on your website that they can
Mhm. Yeah.
download and share as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We'd love to see folks come and check us out, and
Yeah.
we're just glad to be in the Sam Simon Dementia Man circle and sphere of influence. We love you and your work. Everyone on the Dementia Spring team is an enormous fan of yours, and so congrats on what you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we got to stop just hugging each other, but we'll keep going. thank you very, very much, Mark, for your time. I know you're busy, but I'm glad we're doing that and looking forward to being part of spreading the word of your work as well as mine. So thank you.